as well. So I'm Bob Boxer. I'm a founding member of MarketingKind, and I spent most of my career in advertising, and latterly did 20 years at JWT as a business director, mostly working on kind of global clients. And then in the last year, decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I set up with a couple of partners a design and advertising agency called Cafe, which is an agency cooperative which cooperates really in an old-fashioned kind of way. And we sort of describe ourselves as we work best when we work together and drink coffee, which is what we try to do. So that's me. And like I say, today we're joined by Rosaline, who I had the pleasure of having a couple of hours with on the phone a couple of weeks ago. They've got a really inspiring story that they're going to share with us. But why don't the two of you just do quick introductions, and then after you've done that, I'll ask you to tell everyone a little bit more about Toothbuckle and how you got there.
Okay, so yes, Ali and I are mother and daughter. We've both come from the airline industry, where we would see a lot of plastics on board, obviously, and we felt that we wanted to do something about the fact that we were using plastics, a lot of plastic toothbrushes and toothbrush covers ourselves, and they necessarily didn't do the job. They were just harming, you know, not doing it, not being hygienic. So we decided that that we would invent a product, and you know, it came at a time when we were going through some personal issues. So we decided to just start. So yes, that's how we started, basically.
Okay, Ali.
Yes, I'm Ali. I'm yes, the other co-founder and daughter of Roz. So you can imagine what the power balance is like in our company. So yeah, I'm a mum of a 4-year-old, and like Roz, we've always dreamed of running our own business and being able to grow a business from a thought in our heads and a piece of paper to something that could be global. That would be the dream. Yes, we don't have a business background, but we have a lot of tenacity and a lot of determination. Like Roz mentioned, we started the business at the most craziest time in our lives. I'd been diagnosed with breast cancer, so it was very traumatic, and Roz was going through a divorce from my my father, who after 30 years. So it was tumultuous, to say the least, but Toothbuckle became a kind of positive focus for us, and we started on this journey very naively. We dived straight in, and we've learned a hell of a lot along the way. And first thing being that this is not an easy process in any shape or form. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and Roz.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. That's great. So look, you started to touch on this, but let's talk a little bit more about why you launched Toothbuckle and why you felt this was a direction you wanted to go in. Roz, you talked about working in the airline industry and plastics and such like, but you know, I know when we spoke, you talked a bit about, you know, the inconvenience of travel, and also I think you described yourselves as a germaphobe. So tell us a bit more about the two sides of this. That's sort of the sustainability thing, and then the kind of the need for sort of cleanliness, if you like.
Well, I think the first thing that that was troublesome to me was the fact that I couldn't find anything that would protect my toothbrush, because of course when you are traveling for a living you have several, so you know there would be one in my whole bag, there'd be perhaps one on board with me, and then I would have one at home. So I had these toothbrushes and I needed covers, so I would search around and look and use basically the ones that were out there, and they were made of plastic, and they really didn't do what they were meant to do. They would just harbour germs as opposed to, you know, kind of stop the germ buildup. So I would then just use like tissue paper, or, maybe, like the Ziploc black bags. Again, it really worried me and I didn't like that. So I knew I needed something different, something that was going to actively fight the germs. So that's where the idea came from. And then, of course, I didn't want it to be plastic. Thinking about the materials, I wanted it to be sustainable and something that I could reuse again and again. So, and this is why we chose silicone, because we feel that that's the correct kind of material to use. So yeah, I saw the amount of plastics that were being thrown away on an aircraft. You can just imagine, everything gets wrapped in plastic. We, well, back then I say we, but, you give customers, plastic toothbrush covers in their, onboard little bags that they get as a gift. So yeah, I was seeing a lot of that. And when I would communicate to my crew, perhaps colleagues, they really didn't have a solution. They were just, just using whatever it was that they could find. So it was a real bugbear for me. I just wanted to create something different. Ali and I then had discussions about it, and she had the same problems. So that's how it started, really.
Great, fantastic. Ali, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, Ros is absolutely right. And even though we travelled all over the world, because we were fortunate to do long haul flights, I'd say to her, like, when you land in the US, go to Target, see if you can find something. And she'd be like, okay, I'm at Target, they've got the same thing. And we just this kind of organic market research, it was really came from a really authentic place. And I used to work for Virgin, so they had like an upper class bar when I was a lad up that side. And I used to just accost the passengers, top up their red wine and be like, so what do you do with your toothbrush? And where do you put your toiletries? And, as I'm topping up their wine, and they're like, all this information would come spewing out. And it was really cool, because it was a problem that we realized that lots of people had. And even though it felt like just mum and then just me, like having this conversation, when we started to broaden that, we realized that other people were having the same issues.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Great, that's very good. And I mentioned to you guys, in my previous life, I was one of those people you were pouring the red wine to. And I started saying no to those bags, because it was just kind of like, I really just don't need another one of these. Plus, there I was, going off to my fancy business meeting with a bit of cling film wrapped around my toothbrush. So I get exactly what you're saying. So tell us where the business is now. Where are you at? What is the product that you're selling? What kind of variants do you have, and where are you selling them? And what's working and what's kind of maybe working less well?
So this has been a journey and a half, Bob. And, so when we started off with a kind of, okay, let's create this product from out of nowhere. Where do we even start? Where do you even get to a manufacturer? I've never even spoken to a manufacturer. I didn't even know where you would find one. So we had to start really at ground zero. So we did all that sort of research. It took us some time to do that. We realized that the product wasn't out there. We wanted it to be made here in the UK, but the manufacturers that we contacted here were saying it was an impossible thing to do. The shape, the form, everything, the materials we wanted to use. So we had a lot of sticky points. Anyway, so cut a long story short, we managed to find a manufacturer in China, and we kind of started a relationship with them. We started to create these samples, we tested material and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so once we'd got kind of like a prototype, we then went on to deciding that we were going to patent it, because it didn't exist, and we thought that could have some kind of barrier to market for anybody else, any of the big boys that wanted to come in, and they're always looking for development. So that's where we kind of went on our journey. So we did do that process. Since then, obviously, we've grown somewhat, and We now have 6 colours in our range. They all come with matching bamboo toothbrushes, because it's something, I don't know whether it's a girly thing, but we love a set, and aesthetically it looks nice. And also we wanted to offer the customer something where it felt like luxury, but didn't maybe cost luxury. So we wanted that feel and that look. We love that simplicity from inspired from, say, Scandinavia, that kind of simplicity and that organic feel, that natural feel. So we went on that journey and kind of created that sort of look, which you could probably see on our website. And then really, I would say we never had a website for a long time. Our website was launched May, I believe, Ros, if I'm right. Was it May of last year on Shopify? And all our sales prior to that were all organic. It was just literally, let's get the product made, let's get a small amount over here in the UK, and let's sell on Amazon, and let's start seeing where this goes. Because we really didn't know whether it was even required out there or it was going to pick up any traction. Since then, yes, we've grown a lot. We've managed to increase our sustainable store database. So we're now in about 10 or 12 stores, sustainable stores all over the country. And that tends to be wholesale. We also sell off of our website. So we have those repeat customers now. We have that data, unlike Amazon, where they keep all that information. And now we're kind of thinking, okay, now we really need to buckle down on certain details of the brand so we can really expand and scale. And we have dreams of that, which I've previously shared, but with Bob somewhat, but they're big dreams. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So we're in sustainable stores, we're online, and we still have a presence on Amazon, and that's where we're at now, but it's all very small scale. We want to grow going forward.
Okay, very good, very good. And so here we are today. What would you like to get out of this session? How can MarketingKind help you guys, would you say?
Well, I think it's about, for us, knowing how to communicate to our customer persona. Looking at the website, does it actually, translate to the customers what we do, who we are, the hygiene benefits of having a toothbuckle and cover and brush. I think it's about language, because it's a fine balance between sustainability and the benefits of the product. So what do we talk about mostly? What will actually inspire customers to say, well, okay, I'm going to try that. And then as we go forward, we want to broaden our product line. We've got some really interesting ideas that we'd like to add to that. So yeah, but we understand before we do that, we need to get this part right with, the communication, and then of course the marketing. How much do we market? What do we market exactly? There are elements of marketing that we just really don't know. We've only just started to do that with communicating to, like the press and online stores, online magazines type things for Christmas gifting ideas. So we're looking at that as well.
Okay, great. So look, what I'm sort of hearing in there, and I'll start opening up to questions, and we're getting a few questions through, so I'll start with those ones. But it sort of feels like there's a bit of a sense of helping to define the brand, probably vision, mission, and values, as we would sort of probably talk about in marketing words, and kind of from then that what is the sort of the brand story. So I think there's a sort of a brand and strategy piece. We talked before about this kind of balance between trying to sell people a product. So what is the benefit to them of that product? And then the balance, like you say, of we're a sustainable brand. Mm-hmm. So it's, again, where is that sort of focus in message area? What about this, guys, is, you use the phrase swap out, which is a very it's a very clear, and it's a thing that's really needed when we're talking about sustainability. If we can swap, a non-sustainable product for a more sustainable product, that's a good thing. And I was horrified by, in Anna's brief, the fact that every plastic toothbrush that's ever been made still exists. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. But clearly, I think if it's a bamboo toothbrush that is swapped for a regular toothbrush, that's the swap out. But clearly the cover is sometimes an additional for people as they do start to think more about the hygiene kind of piece. Have you got any thoughts about that balance between the toothbrush and the cover, and where you sort of see the heart of the business?
Yeah, I think I'm sure Ros will add to this as well. Like you said, Bob, the swap out of the toothbrush is quite something people can get their heads around, and why the cover is actually quite a good addition is because as people, we are not due to COVID, but in normal life, in normal circumstances, we are very mobile. So you might need a toothbrush in your desk at work, you might need one in your gym bag, the kids need to pop one in their bag. We're going on a holiday, we're going down to grandma's. So people are generally, their lives are becoming more and more busier, and they also are moving around quite a bit. So that's where the cover kind of comes in, and the idea that when it is dirty, or when it is, you want to do a clean, you just stick it in the dishwasher and it comes out like new. So it's something that you're reusing over and over and over and over again. And at end of life, when you're finished with it, it actually can be recycled. So I guess that's where we come in. Also, the fact that the cover is generally the more preventative, and because people are conscious of the fact, due to COVID, probably even more than there maybe would have been, that the cross-contamination that happens in that jar, we've all seen it at the bottom of the jar, when you look in that jar in your bathroom and you think, oh, look at all that stuff in the bottom. And then dad's got a cold and now the whole family's got a cold. That's due to the fact that your toothbrush is sitting there and they're all touching. Plus the fact that when you flush the toilet and then everything goes in the air and lands on your toothbrush, and then you put that directly in your mouth, that's quite gross. So people are really conscious of the fact that they want preventative measures rather than kind of that mindset of, I've now got a problem, let me find some solution. They're trying to stay healthy so they don't have to have a solution. But yeah.